Come to order. This is the Monday, November 3rd, 2014 regular meeting of the Joliet City Council. It's a combined pre-council and regular council meeting. Mayor Tom Girani presiding. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Vinton Ritchie from the First Christian Church at 1701 Lairway Road, after which he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Let us pray. Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us show love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, harmony. Where there is error, truth. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. And where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, oh, grant us that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to understand as to understood, to be understood, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Lord, I pray your blessing upon each member of the City Council and those that work for the City of Joliet. Thank you for their service. We thank you that we can enjoy all the privileges of living in Joliet and Will County. And in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I wanted to thank you for inviting me to have the invocation on my 70th birthday today. I was born and raised in Joliet. My wife and I raised 4 children here, and I thank you for making Joliet the city that it is. May God bless each one of you.
Thank you and happy birthday.
We'll start with roll call. Mayor Girani.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman McFarland.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Odekirk.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda is under Mayor, a proclamation honoring St. Paul the Apostle Giants baseball team 2014 Class 1A state champions.
I know you all want to sit here through the whole meeting. We hate to disappoint you, but we moved you up so yourself and the parents can go out and maybe get a hamburger or something. John?
All right, the coach is here. Oh, coaches, Mike, come on up. Boys, come on up here. You did all the work. You did all the work. These guys filled out the Lions card. Well, you know, last year at this time, we were here actually with the St. Paul's Giants talking about their state championship run, and I asked them a question, and the question was, do you have any pitching coming back? And they said they had a lot of pitching coming back, and I said, well, I bet you're here again next year. And sure enough they are. And boys, I can't tell you how proud the city of Joliet is of you guys, not only because of your athletic abilities, okay, but by the way that you represent yourself, you represent your school, and whenever you go away like that out of town, you're really representing the entire community of Joliet. And you should all be very proud of your accomplishments. But I'll tell you what, this is only the beginning for you guys, okay? You're going to accomplish a lot more things in life as you go through it. You're going to go on to high school. Most of you, I'm assuming, are going to JCA. Got a baseball tradition over there. I don't see a lot of heads being but you're going to go through high school, you're going to go through college, and you're going to do a lot of great things. So as great of an accomplishment as this is for you, I guarantee you're going to do a lot more in the future. And I know your parents are very proud of you. In fact, when you go home tonight, make sure you thank your parents, because they did a lot of shagging to practice, a lot of batting practice, and you know, they want to see you do well. I would probably say the only people that are more excited than you are your parents about this success that you had, and I know that they're happy of the fine young men that you turned out to be. So we've got a proclamation here that I'm going to read, and when I get to the players' names, I'm going to give it over to Coach Malone and have him go through his roster. So, and if he wants to say a few things about some individual players, that will be the time to do it. So, Whereas St. Paul the Apostle Giants school baseball team made its 6th appearances in the Illinois Elementary School Association, or the IESA, state baseball tournament on October 3rd, 2014 in East Peoria. St. Paul the Apostle is the only Will County grade school to boast 4 IESA state baseball championships in the last decade, also winning in 2006, 2007, 2013, and now in 2014. And the St. Paul the Apostle Giants excelled under the dedicated leadership of head coach Mike Malone, coaches Vince DiFilippo, Pat McGinnis, and Mike Roselle, who volunteered countless hours conducting incredibly well-organized and executed practices with an unbelievable attention to detail. Who are they talking about here, Mike? That's a lot of, you know. I've known you for 30 years. The attention to detail is to help following players reach their full potential as championship baseball team. And here's kind of where we go through all the players, Coach. So why don't you start here with Caden Bagetto. I know he's a good athlete, so you can start with him and just kind of read through them. Some of the guys aren't here.
Sure. Caden Bagetto, who isn't here, Caden Bagetto actually pitched the first game. We had to play Jacksonville, our savior, who was undefeated and actually was probably the favorite to win the state championship and did a great job. So it got us through to the second game. Josh Bullock, another one of our pitchers, did a great job, and the leadoff man. Max Cullen, our catcher, and probably biggest leader that we had all year long, just leads by example, always going out and getting the job done. Vinny DiFilippo, obviously the father or son of one of my coaches, a 7th grader. Some of these 7th graders didn't have a lot of opportunity to play, but these guys were there every practice helping the guys that were playing on a regular basis get ready. Dolan Glasgow did a great job at second base, and our 2-hitter made a great play in the final game to get us out of a tough jam. Christian Hano, again, another guy that really filled in for us when we needed him. Dylan Hensley led us with slugging percentage, hit a home run in the state tournament, which was awesome. Danny Mangan, 7th grader who we're looking out of big things for next year coming back. Jack McGinnis, an 8th grader who, again, when we needed him, he was there and did anything we asked him during practices. Reed Olson, our shortstop, Sebastian Pantoja, who never played a day at first base in his life and was our first baseman, did an incredible job filling into that spot. Dean Procaroni was our 3rd baseman, great job. Owen Roselle filled in when we need him to, catching. He's a great pinch hitter. Cameron and Nathan Seaman, again, 7th graders are going to come next year and have an opportunity, hopefully, to maybe stand in front of you guys in 2015. And Alex Vera, our number 1 left-handed pitcher, who did a great job down in the tournament. So all these guys were incredible, what they gave us. Everybody gave us a little bit when they had to and gave us a lot when we needed it. And again, what you already said about the parents, that's the most important thing, what they sacrificed. So,
thank you, Coach. I'd like to maybe make a suggestion here. Mayor and the City Council, you got 4 state championship titles here. It might be appropriate that we could do some type of recognition as far as signage. I know we got some state football state championships, we got some baseball state championships, but maybe that's something we can consider in the future as far as putting some signage up there and recognizing your state championships as well. So anyway, congratulations, and wish you all the best of luck in the future and much success. Mike?
I'll move the podium short.
Back up, guys. No, let her get in. Come on. It's easy. You must lost your finger. Paparazzi.
All right, thanks, guys. Great job. Sure.
thank you very much. Hope to see you next year.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations again. You bet.
Good work, Coach.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job.
Next is Mayor Girani appointments.
I do not have any this evening.
Approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
Motion is seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Huggs.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports. Public Service Committee report.
Your Honor, the Public Service Committee, comprised of Councilwoman Gavin and Councilwoman McFarland and myself, met at 4:45 this afternoon to review the contracts, change orders, pay estimates, and final payments. Recommend their approval. A couple items I wanted to point out, one being the contract for the purchase of motor fuels for the 2015 calendar year. We had a cost of, for unleaded fuel of $2.56 a gallon. The price will be held for the whole year, no matter what happens with the economy or in the Middle East or anything else. They'll honor that price. And for the most diesel we use, it would be $2.86 a gallon, which will be about a $279,000 savings over last year. The second item is the, as you know, we've been going through the various subdivisions doing testing to find out if there are violations of stormwater going to the sanitary sewer. Sent some letters out, had some luck and response, but not a whole lot. So the next step would be the legal staff recommended we don't change any ordinance, but we would send those who don't respond a notice of hearing and administrative adjudication, where they would be required to come to City Hall for a hearing, and if they ignore that, the following month would be a certification of finding that would go out with a proposed $500 fine. Sometimes the people misunderstand the letter because they have participated in another sewer separation project, but they still need to respond to their letter, and hopefully this will get the attention and get the problem resolved.
Housing Authority Liaison Committee report.
Yes, the Housing Authority Committee, we met on Thursday of last week here in the executive conference room. Myself, Councilman McFarland, and Councilman Otterkirk. We met with the Housing Authority leadership, Mr. Simonton, which I believe is here present, along with Mr. Child on his staff, and as well as the Housing Authority attorney, Mr. Hanson. It basically was an update on a couple things. One was the redevelopment of the Des Plaines housing complex, which many of you may have heard that they did not receive the tax credits from IDA this year, but they will be refiling in December of this year in hopes to next year to be awarded the tax credits. Also, they will be proceeding with the demolition application of the Des Plaines Housing Authority, in which meaning that the residents will be given a Section 8 voucher, and also the Housing Authority is going to go a step further, which they don't have to do, and do some social service things with the residents there in terms of transitioning them into other housing in other areas, as well as here in Joliet. So those would be the two avenues they will be taking with the Des Plaines housing project in the upcoming months. Also, they gave us a update on the financial situation of the Housing Authority, and it looks very promising. Actually, probably in February, March of next year, they'll be notified by HUD on their score, on their report score. And at this point now, it looks as if though it'll be just as well as it was this year, or maybe even better. I'm hoping even better. Mr. Simonton is being optimistic and says it's going to be about the same as last year. But again, the financial situation has improved there at the Housing Authority, so we were pleased to hear that. I think that's about it. It was a short meeting. I don't know if councilmen have anything to add. No? That's it, John.
I was going to read this under my comments, but I think it's appropriate. Now, I received a letter from William Wilkins, Director of Illinois State Office of Public Housing, Region 5. I just received this yesterday. I will make copies and get it to the council. It reads, Dear Mr. Simelton, this letter is to convey the results and determination of a FAR's on-site monitoring of the Housing Authority of the City of Joliet, HAJ, conducted by HUD on September 29, 2014. The HAJ received an assessment of its financial condition and governance due to the designation of troubled by HUD's Real Estate Assessment Center for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2011. HUD's team reviewed the progress that has been made on the agency's action plan to date, as well as conducted interviews with key staff. Thank you for the assistance provided to the agency during our assessment. The executive director, housing program coordinators, maintenance staff, property managers, and administration staff are to be commended on the completion of the action items identified in the action plan thus far. In reviewing the Housing Authority, it was noted that the agency has continued to implement policies and procedures that are having a positive impact on the operations of HAJ. The positive changes at the HAJ thus far are a testament to the dedication and hard work of each and every employee of the agency. The Department of Housing and Urban Development is both thankful and appreciative of the efforts of the individual employees of the Housing Authority of the City of Joliet. The results and determinations of the on-site assessment are outlined in the enclosing summary. We appreciate your cooperation and look forward to working with the Housing Authority of the City of Joliet to achieve sustainable levels of performance. And outlined are about 22 dozen different areas that they've improved. I'm not going to go through them. It's on governance, it's on finance, and it's on physical. I will make a copy for the council, and congratulations to Michael. Great job. Great job. Okay.
I show no other reports. Next is consent agenda. Approval of minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on October 20th, 2014, and of the regular meeting held on October 21st, 2014, stand approved as recorded. And approval of 2015 Joliet City Council meeting schedule. It's recommended the schedule be approved and published. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve.
Mayor.
Councilman
Yes,
Girl?
I'm sorry, it's good.
I have a question.
Sure.
I was looking at the city council schedule, and I believe April 7th is election day. Are we going to be open that day?
Unless we change it.
Because that should be a combined meeting, I guess, as April 6th. and
So is that a
7th.
motion?
Well, I'm asking, I'm suggesting it, I'm just letting you know that it's not combined. So if we're off that day, we can't meet on the 7th. So I would motion to change it to combined meetings on the 6th.
That day.
Second.
Okay.
Are we closed, though?
I don't believe City Hall is closed that day. I can.
That's why I wondered, because we're election day tomorrow, we're closed.
When we're not closed for
National
that one, I
election,
know,
we
but
do
if you
close,
want to
but not
combine
the
them.
local.
Well, that's up to the council. I mean,
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Do we have the combined meeting on Monday, the 6th?
I'll withdraw my second, because I already had a motion, a second on the floor.
Right.
I think, didn't you second
I
it?
did.
Bob seconded it.
No, the original consent had a motion and a
Oh,
second.
that second you're talking
Yes.
about. Okay.
So
Well,
now we can amend the,
this, well, she can still make a motion to amend it, yes.
I'll make a motion to amend your motion.
All right. Okay. Krista,
Okay.
it's clear as mud. No, everything's okay
Second
except
is with the amendment.
Combine the two meetings on this,
Second
from the
that.
7th to the 6th, April 6th.
yes.
I need it. Somebody
So
second.
someone needs to
Bob,
agree to amend
Okay.
that.
Bob,
We're
second.
okay with that?
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded to approve consent agenda items with April 6th being a combined council meeting. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, licenses and permit applications. An application for a drive-through permit for a Checkers restaurant at 1805 Jefferson Street. It's recommended the previously approved drive-through permit for this Checkers be rescinded and the new application for a drive-through permit be approved.
Jim?
Just a little background information. This looks familiar to you. It's because you recently approved it for the addition of a Checkers restaurant on the west side of the mobile station in front of Kmart there on Jefferson. And due to the drive-through requirements, they've decided to build a completely separate building on the east side of that mobile station. So we need to rescind the original approval and then approve their new request. And attached is a site plan showing you how that drive-through will work behind the gas station.
Your Honor,
Yes.
this was also on our agenda for the Public Service Committee, and it was approved of committee, so I will so move.
Second?
Any other questions? Do we have any idea when they're supposed to start this? Jim? Oh, I don't see Dave Mackey here. Okay.
No, we don't.
Okay, thank you. Kristen?
It's in motion and seconded to rescind the original permit and approve the new application for the permit for Checkers. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances, Council Memo 527-14, an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet Subdivision East Amendment, and an ordinance approving the recording plat of Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet Subdivision Phase 11. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Jim?
You've got a map on the screen here, and it shows that this is the next phase of the Joliet Centerpoint Terminal, the intermodal facility here in Joliet for logistic purposes. This property is 1,504 acres, and there'll be 45 lots that'll split it from 0.3 acres up to 246 acres. It meets all of the requirements and public improvements in compliance with the city and is before you for your consideration.
Questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
we have a meeting with the neighbors that live around that area, with Centerpoint and with Canadian National and UP, not Canadian National, but UP on the 10th, and I would like to table this so these folks can get some idea what's going on, because that meeting was canceled. It was supposed to be on October 22nd, and it was pushed back to the 10th per Mike Hansen's request, because Union Pacific could not make the meeting that night, and this is well overdue in that neighborhood.
Yeah, Ms. Coleman, unfortunately, Centerpoint couldn't make the meeting a few weeks ago, okay, and they had to go out of town on emergencies.
I thought you said it was Lewin from Union Pacific.
Well, both those people
Okay.
couldn't make the meeting. So that's why we had to reschedule it for
Right.
next Monday, a week from tonight, okay?
Right.
It's really vitally crucial that we go ahead with this tonight, because this is just a preliminary plat. This isn't a final plat. Okay, we'll explain the details next Monday night to go over that, et cetera. We've already had meetings with a lot of the neighbors to educate them as far as what's going on. Certain of the neighbors appeared before the Plan Commission a couple weeks ago, had some questions. We met with them. Be it this is at the end of the year, at this particular point in time, nothing is being sold, nothing's being platted, no final decisions are being made. But this just allows us to go ahead and finalize some of the contracts to, do some of the final development in this area. So I would like to request the council go ahead tonight and approve this preliminary plat based on that, and we'll certainly address that next Monday night at our meeting.
Jim, maybe we approve the preliminary plat, and then they have to come to us for the final plat, and
Absolutely.
we be able to make alterations at that?
Yes, they do have to come back for final plat approval.
Right, okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this the same pipeline we talked about recently? The oil pipeline?
Yes,
or
it
was it-
would, yes.
Okay. Okay, so we got that all cleared up before Jeff left?
Yes,
Right.
everything got done before Jeff. You're aware of the changes we
I
made.
want to make sure it was the same one.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
Motion and seconded said ordinance be adopted. Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
No.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Council Memo 528-14, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a medical cannabis dispensary within an existing multi-tenant building located at 347 Airport Road. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
I have a question on this. Hopefully we get one of these. We can't have both of them in the same building, can we?
Well,
According to the state. Anybody know?
the state will approve up to 3 dispensaries in the state police district, but that is Will County, Kendall, and Grundy County. So it's unlikely that they're going to approve 2 in the same building.
But it's legal.
It is legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So move.
Second.
You certainly can.
For those among us who don't know who I am, I'm Robert Augustus Webb II. I'm opposed to this particular measure, being that, from my understanding, growing marijuana in the United States is against federal law. And why would City Council vote to approve setting up a marijuana growing plant if it's against federal law?
Excuse me, this is a dispensary. It's not a growing plant.
Well, at the same time, this is my point. If it's against federal law, right, and we have sat here and listened to everybody take their Pledge of Allegiance. If it's against federal law, then why would a local municipal government vote in favor of doing something that's contrary to federal law?
Got a question? Because it's legal in Illinois.
But it's still against federal law.
Right.
The state of Illinois is under the jurisdiction of the United States of America, the government, the federal government. So why, I understand you're supposed to make laws consistent with, not contrary to. So it seems like it would be inconsistent with federal law to adopt such a measure to allow such a thing to take place within, our municipality when it's against federal law.
Thank you for your comments, Ben. Motion and second, Krista?
This motion and seconded said ordinance be adopted. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 529-14, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a medical cannabis dispensary within an existing multi-tenant building located at 351 Airport Road. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Good luck to both of you.
Council Memo 530-14, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a temporary staffing agency within an existing multi-tenant building located at 2709 West Jefferson Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So
Jim?
moved.
No explanation? Is there a motion?
Well, this is another flexible staffing needs a special use permit to allow temporary staffing agency within an existing multi-tenant building. This will be located at 2709 West Jefferson, otherwise known as the Stadium Plaza. They do placement for light industrial, manufacturing, clerical, and administrative services.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
So I moved.
Yeah, you did. Second.
It's a motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
I vote aye. I just have a quick question. We've come a long way from the day laborers. I think that's why we changed the ordinance, the city did. They didn't want people sitting out front waiting to go to work.
Yes.
Can we revisit to see about changing this ordinance? I mean, this has become a clean business practice. This is an office, and I think it's kind of red tape that I'd like to see removed.
It's certainly something, as a matter of fact, at my staff meeting today, we did talk about that and decided it should move forward to committee for that discussion. I'm sure there may be some other means of providing assurance that it isn't day laborers it isn't in an area that's been a problem in the past, and we can address those concerns.
Thank you.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 531-14, an ordinance declaring certain properties as public nuisance. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Having determined my house isn't on here, aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 533-14, a resolution regarding the release of executive session minutes. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
Questions? Krista? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wayne Horn from the Times Weekly. I just want to know if there's a list available of the dates of these executive sessions. All of them?
What, the ones that are going to be released, or
They're not going to be released.
the ones that are not going to be released? Mary?
That's what the memo says.
You're requesting just a list of the dates
of all of the executive session minutes that have not been released yet.
We can comprise a list, that's fine, just so you're aware, sometimes a part of the meeting is released, but not the entire meeting itself.
I'm not asking for the release of they're not, according to this resolution, they're not going to be released. I
Right,
just want a
but
list of the
a
dates.
date may be on there where a portion of it was released previously.
Oh, I see
guess.
what you mean.
Does that
Okay.
make sense? So we can comprise a list for you.
All right.
Okay.
And I had a question. Sure. Our friends in the media beat me to the punch. I was curious, do we know what's the oldest one currently on the list that, is not going to be released? Do we have an idea? How far back do these go?
I don't have any idea.
Mike? You've been in it long.
I don't know. I have no
Oh,
idea.
no, it's not that.
Would we, when you compile this list
18, I
for
think it was 18, no.
1890? When you compile this list for Mr. Horn, certainly can you distribute it to the council?
Certainly can.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Actually, I'd like to see that list, because I think some of them should be released.
Well, I think we're going to get it. Didn't you just ask for that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah, we're going to get that list of those.
Right, but I mean, if we vote no, then they won't be able to be released.
You could
We
vote
better do
at a
ordinance.
future date to release that information if you'd like.
I'm going to vote no. I want to see the dates.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 534-14, a resolution authorizing the sale of 710 Mementos Place to St. Patrick's Church. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
I'd like to move to approve and give it to them for free of charge. Waive the $250.
Second.
Questions?
No.
Do we have any, first of all, separation of church and state, does that affect us? Mayor? Secondly, do we incur any cost in this transaction?
We did when we acquired.
Right.
That just the basic administrative fee, administrative cost, and to transfer it, sometimes we run title to make sure that it's, there's nothing on the title that would prevent any future dealings with.
What I'm looking for is,
Transactions.
by giving it to them, do we incur any cost? Just by saying, oh, here it is.
Usually, it's the administrative costs that the city will do to prepare those documents and get it ready to transfer to the other entity.
How about the other question, separation of church and state?
In this particular case, you have been just not too long ago, you did you sold some property to the Lutheran, the Lutheran church.
Sold it
and
to 'em.
Sold it to
This
them.
is free.
Yeah, in the past, what has come across your desk is property that you've sold. Sold.
Mayor,
Wait a minute.
I'm gonna
Wait a minute.
rescind-
Wait a minute. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to rescind my motion and change it to $1.
That'll work.
Second?
That'll work.
And just to recap, I think we're going to save the city money because we're paying now to have the lot cut by a contractor.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
First and foremost,
No idea.
I'm sure everybody, for the public
What do we
record,
charge
can
Lutheran?
I get a show of hands of everybody that's standing on their oath of public office, other than myself?
$250.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
Standing on
Stan,
their
this,
public
50.
oath of office, that's standing on it for the public record.
what's your point, Robert?
Constitution does prohibit
Yeah,
any type of money is going towards
250.
any type of religious groups, all right? Now, when we was doing the Pledge of Allegiance, or after the prayer, I noticed that there was, a number of the councilmen that more or less did the move.
Sign of the cross?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
I would like to know if those individuals who did that, are you of the Catholic faith?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's all I want to know.
Krista? There's a motion and second, do we sell it to him for $1? Is that correct?
Been motioned and seconded to approve with the cost of $1.
I have a
Just
question.
wait a minute. Go ahead.
Anybody up here in the council who may have been on here long enough, or Jim, if you have the history, we've done this before, yes?
Yes.
Both for civic organizations, religious organizations, and even for some private individuals where they took over lots over the years because of the maintenance cost to us. Am I correct?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Councilman Turk and I were just discussing, since 6 months ago, we sold to the Lutheran Church 250. Maybe we should rebate part of that portion back to them, since this is 250 and we're going to make it $1. Anyone have an objection to that, just to keep it
Put it in the form of a motion.
fair?
Amend the motion.
To amend it to rebate 249 to the Lutheran Church, because we're just consulting with the
Or
council.
rebate whatever the cost was up
Up to
Take
$1.
up to
Wouldn't that
$1.
be a separate motion so we can make this one a clean motion?
Wait a minute.
Do you want two separate motions, you think? You want, or just amend this one?
Amend it.
Amend it,
And
amend
see,
it.
yeah.
I'll second the amendment.
Got a motion and second to amend it, that we also rebate the Lutheran Church $249 out of the $250.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Okay, okay. Any questions? Kristen?
Okay. Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
I don't think we could do this. I think you need a new motion. We're in the middle of a vote. You can't just amend a vote and you have yes votes along the way.
There's a motion to amend, if it's germane, you can motion it, and the city attorney just says that. She says that motion, she'd like to have a motion to amend.
You're just amending the motion to.
When you're already through a vote like this?
Right, well, I think what
It
Jim is
wasn't a-
saying is I've already voted, for instance,
Yeah, you need
without
a-
that information.
You're
We're going to
revoting,
call
aren't
you
you?
again.
Right,
I'm
so-
gonna do
You're
a full
revoting.
round the second.
So shouldn't we
Voting.
close out the other vote, whether we rescind the first and the
Why are we
motion?
making such a big deal?
Right.
The attorney says amendment is in order.
Yeah.
What are we making such a big deal of it? We all know what we're talking about.
Because of procedure.
Robert's Rules of Order.
I think our council told us what to
Who
do.
all voted on the First Amendment?
First time around?
Councilman
Yes,
Girl,
I did.
Hugg, McFarland, Morris, and Otterkirk.
Aren't we starting with Councilman Hugg again?
We started-
Correct.
I don't,
Okay.
did I
I'm
vote?
starting completely over, starting
Right.
with Hugg on the amendment.
I thought John went first.
Well, I was going to go through all night. I can start with John. I would just usually take the next person first since it was amended, but we can start with John. I'm going to start.
So this motion is to basically,
It
the
is
motion now is
to-
to amend it so that the Lutheran Church gets back
We're all lawyers
$249.
now.
The motion is
I vote aye.
to approve the resolution with a fee of $1 to St. Patrick's Church and refund the Lutheran Church $249.
Your Honor, and if, I don't remember what the Lutheran Church paid, but if they paid $500, then we'll just bring the price down to $1. Is that
That's-
everybody's understanding? Right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just because that was 6 months ago.
So we're gonna
Within
go
the
back
6
to
months,
all the
right.
churches.
I'll second amend the first amendment.
Councilman Girl?
Wait a minute,
we're not done.
we got a question here.
Okay.
You want me to ask again? No, I was saying, so we're gonna go back to all the churches in the past since Mike been on the council that we,
It's a great
That's
point.
a good point.
It's a great point.
I think Mr. Horn has a question too, but I mean, think about it, let me know.
Is he a Lutheran or a Catholic?
Let me tell you
I would
something
like to ask
accurately.
that same question. Does this apply to everyone that's ever done this? Why just churches? Why not all community organizations? Why not?
Because community organizations, if we so feel, we can donate it. Churches, we're questioning the separation of church and state, so they have to pay something.
Isn't this a precedent, though, that you'll
Well,
do
I
this
agree
for
with
everyone?
you. I agree with you. We may be opening up a can of worms.
I would think so.
Yes.
I would suggest that we table it, to be frank. Do some research, because there are some fair questions. I will say for the record, while I'm Catholic, my wife is Lutheran.
Well, you're getting
kids are-
both ends then.
Exactly.
You can't vote on either.
My kids are Catherine. But,
Okay.
Your Honor.
We got a motion table on the floor.
I just have one. Can I have a question? I can ask
There's a
you.
motion, the table is not debatable. Is there a second?
I second
Okay.
the table.
This motion to table and get this thing straightened out.
It's in motion and seconded to table this resolution to the November 18th council meeting. Councilman Girl?
I'll vote aye to table, but I certainly don't have a problem with rebating $498 to these two organizations. But I guess if we're going to get something accomplished by tabling it, I'll vote aye to the table.
Councilman Hug?
certainly, I agree with Councilman. I don't think anybody has a problem with helping out community organizations and those churches and religious organizations that exist. But as it was pointed out by several people, from the mayor on down throughout the council here, we are going into, something that could be precedent setting, and I don't like going into it kind of like flailing, Let's do some research on it. I'm sure Jim Hock can bring us a report on how far back do we want him to look. That's something we can discuss after this vote, I think. So with that said, I'll vote aye on the table.
Councilman McFarland?
I vote no, and I'd like to, I just don't understand what the big deal is with transferring this property over to St. Pat so they can start maintaining it and get the cost of cutting the grass off the shoulders of the city. And do us a favor of cleaning up that site. If you've been over there, right now, it looks like a mini garbage dump. Bricks and broken glass and rocks. So I vote no.
Councilman Morris?
I vote no. I understand the Lutheran churches and some of the other churches, but I think that St. Pat has been working with the city staff for a long time about this piece of property, and I wish we could go forth with this property tonight and then look into what we could do for other religious organizations that we've worked with in the past and in the future. So that's why I vote no.
Councilman Oedeker?
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Morris. I also vote no.
I agree with Councilman Girl, but I also agree with Councilman Morris, and that is his district, so I will vote no to the table as well.
Councilman Turk?
No.
Councilwoman Gavin?
I tell you, we have really just muddied up more water. I certainly don't have a problem with the transition and the transaction for the property. What I do have a problem with is that how it evolved going around this room. And so I second the motion to table so that we can get clear and we can get on one page of how we do this. And I certainly want to see the city relieved of the burden of taking care of that property. So since I did second, I will stand on it. But I think we need to come back and get something clear on this piece. So I vote aye.
Mayor Girani?
In this, we purchased the property for $1,128. We're selling it to them for $250, which is $900 some cheaper than what we paid for it. I think by doing this for $1 and then including the Lutheran Church, we're opening up a can of worms here every time we deal with the church, and maybe even some of the organizations that Wayne mentioned. It's going to come back, and I can't see it. I know it doesn't make any difference. I'm only the fourth vote, but I vote yes to table because of those reasons.
Motion denied.
Motion denied.
Your Honor, I would move that we adopt the council memo and take staff recommendation. Sell it to them for $250.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
Motion is seconded to approve said resolution. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
You know, since Turk's been on this council long enough, he should write him a check for $250. I'll vote aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Is there a building on that lot too, or just vacant? Vacant, okay.
Well, I think the
Was a
mowing's
building,
not a problem.
was a building there.
We're done mowing for the year, so, you know.
It's going to be a few grand to clean up the debris.
Council Memo 535-14, a resolution authorizing certain employees of the City of Joliet to sign checks, vouchers, and warrants on behalf of the City of Joliet, designating financial institutions to be used as depositories for city funds. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
Jim?
This basically takes Ken Mihalik off, and because we have a new accounting manager, Christine Scully.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
The motion is seconded to approve. Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Bids and contracts under award of contracts. Council Memo 537-14, award a contract for the purchase of motor fuels for 2015. Council Memo 538-14, purchase 2 F-350 service trucks for the Public Utilities Department. Council Memo 539-14, purchase an F-450 service truck for the Public Utilities Department. Council Memo 540-14, purchase water meters and smart point radios. Council Memo 541-14, award a contract for the Chicago Street Vaulted Walk Repair Project. Council Memo 542-14, award a contract for the 2014 Lumec Materials Purchase Order. Council Memo 543-14, award a contract for the installation of the sludge mixing pumps for the West Side Wastewater Treatment Plant sludge storage tanks. It is recommended Council Memos 537 through 543-14 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Are there any amendments to these?
Mayor?
They're all over $250.
Mayor, I'd just like to comment on item 541, which is award of contract for vaulted walk repair. You may or may not know that along Chicago Street, there are a lot of vaults underneath the sidewalk that are attached to the basement of those businesses and those buildings there. And this is on the Bays building in front of the new Dr. Cutler's eye shop there. And for the past 4 or 5 weeks, we've had barricades up there. We brought in an outside structural engineer who basically told us this is an emergency repair, so we got to it as quickly as we could.
Thank you. Just a note, at the last City Center Partnership meeting, Pam Owens says she got a phone call from the business that's there, and he was wondering when that was going to be fixed, so I told her
We'll make sure to keep them apprised of when the repair will actually take place.
All right, thank you. Krista?
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 545-14, approved change order number 1 and payment number 4 and final for the Well 29D rehabilitation contract. Council Memo 546-14, approved change order number 1 for the 2014 Utilities Restoration Program Phase 1 contract. Council Memo 547-14, approved change order number 1 and payment number 1 and final for various retaining wall repairs. Council Memo 548-14, approved change order number 3 and payment request number 6 and final for the Eastern Avenue, Osgood Street, 2nd Avenue, Sherman Street Water Main Improvement Project 2013. Council Memo 549-14, approved change order number 2 and payment number 5 and final for East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant Blower Replacement Construction Project. It is recommended Council Memos 545 through 549-14 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is city manager report.
Just one comment on the item 545, which was the change order for our city well. I just wanted to let you know that we weren't able to test the hydrants in this area because of the lack of pressure during the summertime. We didn't want to have the fire department out there opening and testing and flushing the hydrants because the pressure would have gone down too much because we needed this repair. So we are able to move forward and test those hydrants now.
Thank you.
Next is new business not for final action or recommendation.
Comments? Say yeah or no.
No.
Next is citizens to be heard. First is Sister Zena Lane.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members of Joliet. My name is Zena Lane, and I'm here to present a proposal for the Shepherd's Children Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center, a program that will improve the lives of Joliet's younger generation. But first, I'd like to give you a little background about myself. I was one of many who grew up in a lifestyle of gun violence, drugs, and a dysfunctional family. And as a child, I did not know how to express myself, especially within my own household or community. This program, Children's Shepherd Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center, has been inspired inside of me while I was going through my trials in life. As I got old enough to express the urgency to help our younger generations in the late 80s, early 90s through Shepherd's Table on Ottawa Street here in Joliet, I was in my early 20s then with children. Shepherd's Children Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center will be helping all needs of our children. I was asked to write a journal about Shepherd's Table for sheltering the homeless and their needs. So I wrote an article that helped implement treatment services for youth and their families troubled by substance abuse, alcohol addictions, co-occurring psychological and behavioral disorders. And through my journal, Reporting of Homeless Shelters in Joliet, I began a movement formerly known as the Catholic Charities Daybreak Shelter. You will find my name, Zena Lane, in the Joliet Public Library under Herald News Historical Archives. The city's first 24-hour shelter was funded with $750 million from private sources and $5 million in federal grants. On November 21st, 1991, Frank Leo of Catholic Charities addressed the needs for all types of homeless people at the 611 East Cass Street location. Then on November 22nd, 1990, Joliet City Council's okayed an 84-bed emergency shelter despite protests from neighbors. Then on March 31st, 1999, Springfield Governor George Ryan announced that the state will make $2.2 million available to 68 nonprofit groups that help the homeless. Those agencies receive money through the Federal Emergency Shelters Grant Program, a program that awards money to the communities that serve the homeless outside of the county. Well, now, these are great historic events for Joliet, Illinois, but still, there is something missing, and that is our youth and our children. Those who are not considered adults, those who cannot vote or find a job, those who are stuck in the middle with nowhere to go. Well, Shepherd's Children Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center will provide that help, but we cannot do it alone. Divided we fall, and our youth will suffer from that division. The support of the leaders in this community and the government is essential to our success. Nearly everyone here has children, and we personally love and watch over and work with. We are very proud of our children. Before they are born, we prepare ourselves to give them comfort, security, confidence, radiant strength, and hope to say and do everything good. Right now is a very important time for our younger generation. They are experiencing personal warfare through gun violence, critical crime rate, high murder rate, drug abuse, alcoholism, and gangs, poor education, dysfunctional families, and the list goes on. The cares and anxieties of this world has caused many of our young youth distractions that creep in all of our homes and affect our children's critical thinking as they embark upon the world. It is time for us as citizens of Joliet and leaders to simplify their lives now. I have given you some information for all of you to review, and the program is very clear-cut and is beneficial for everyone. My effort is to set up a system that will work for our schools, judicial systems, and communities, a system to where there will be no discrepancy with a positive outcome for all. This is the time and place for us to realize that our younger generation is in a critical condition. It is about our city's leadership knowing our youth face to face. We desperately need to get our youth in control, not criticize them, lock them up, or kick them out, but get back into the mindset of trying to figure out their ways of thinking and changing that thinking to a positive, productive one. We need to act now because this is vital for our city and the lives of our children. We as citizens and parents demand the Joliet City leaders support this movement in helping to heal and restore our younger generation's lives in all areas. Why? Because it does affect society at large. With the city's support, our youth will be restored and made whole again. Let us begin to act in restoring our youth's future and create a productive and positive awareness for generations to come. With our city leaders' support, many of our youth's lives will be restored, and it won't stop with the youth. It will expand to society at large. Our mission is to create and implement an atmosphere where Joliet's youth have the means and structure to become productive individuals. Shepherd's Children Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center will provide structured programs to enhance the quality of life, not just for the youth, but their families, neighborhoods, and society. The end goal is to create and maintain a safe environment for all, regardless of race, color, or creed. By improvising and providing an arena of self-motivation, self-sufficiency, and self-esteem, this lost generation will be found by utilizing our 12 Step-Up program. All of us here today realize that saying, "this doesn't happen in our neighborhood," is slowly diminishing. Unless we stand together, nothing will change. It will only get worse. Until we step out of our comfort zone, nothing will change. It will only get worse. Until we recognize and financially support the programs necessary to teach, train, enlighten, and develop our youth, nothing will change. It will only get worse. All of your questions about how we're going to help our younger generation, what can we do about it, is the main reason I'm coming to you for your help, support, and to contribute to the Shepherd's Children Rehabilitation Center. I would like your input to implement your expertise in all areas of governing the Shepherd's Children Therapeutic Rehabilitation Center. Once again, bringing the Shepherd Center into existence with our city leaders' support and expertise, we will make a difference. Your expert advice and support will help the city of Joliet's younger youth. By the city council being on the board of members or the board of directors for the Shepherd's Children, together we will make a difference. Together we will support our younger generation. Together we will make better lives for all. Thank you for allowing me to print this proposal in front of you guys.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you, Zena.
Next is Charles Titus.
I want to say good evening to the mayor and the council staff. My name is Charles Titus, and I have been to Joliet since 1953. Joliet has been very nice to me until the other day.
Don't blame that on us.
No, it's on me. And I can't finish it. On night and the 19th, 14th, I probably went to 10 o'clock. I went into Consumers, which is 53 Jefferson Street, to purchase tickets, a lot of tickets. So I gave him $50, and I stood around for my change, and he never wanted to give me a change. So Clementine, which told him that give him his change. So he gets mad and throw the change on the counter. He said, listen, said, I'm gonna put it like he said, all you comes in here, act like you own the joint. Says, excuse me, said, you should go back where you come from. All in here, like you own it, can't count. I could ship y'all back to where? Excuse me.
Okay, Charles. You know, you brought this up. This come up at the last meeting. Maybe I asked Chief Benton to look into this. I think we know the story, and I know it's hard for you to tell, but maybe we can have Chief Benton let us know what he's found out. Chief?
Okay, else I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt over there.
Right. We understand. We're trying to keep that from happening. Chief?
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, this was brought up at the previous pre-council meeting. We spoke to both Mr. Titus and Mr. Craig about it, immediately assigned it to our investigations division to have them follow up on. The problem that happened here is there was a delay from the time that the incident occurred with the time that it was reported. So when the investigators met with the owner of the establishment, went back to review video to try to corroborate the information, there was too long of a time delay for us to corroborate any of the information that was provided. In the incidents that were alleged, there were supposed to be a couple of people in the store. We did our best to try to track them down, but again, without the video, without someone providing names, we couldn't identify who the witnesses would have been either. So while we're not saying the incident didn't occur, we were just unable to confirm it from a legal standpoint for us to go forward with any type of either criminal charges or enforcement action through the liquor commissioner.
Do we know what's happened to that employee?
From what I was told through our investigations, he's no longer employed at the store there. I don't know if he was terminated, asked to resign, transfer. I don't know the results of that. I just know that they assured me he's no longer working at that store.
I know, and I've talked to you a little bit about this, and I don't think the liquor commissioner can bring him up on charges because you don't have the evidence, but we will set a hearing date and meet with the owner. Absolutely.
Sure.
Any other comments?
Your Honor?
Sure.
Are cameras mandated in that type of an establishment?
No, they're not.
They're not?
No, in liquor establishments. We've discussed that. The liquor commissioners have discussed that. And what we've come up with, that if it's a problem establishment, in lieu of a penalty, or we can insist that they put cameras in, but a lot of the cameras only last for...
That's the problem here. It was the memory time that the camera stayed recording, and a lot of these systems, they start recording over just because of the space. So had this been reported as soon as it occurred, we would have likely been able to get some type of corroborating evidence through the video.
The answer to your question is no, they're not.
All right. Well, I certainly want to follow up.
Okay.
I certainly do.
Clementine Titus was also signed up. Did you have?
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening, Jared and staff.
It's cool.
My name is Clementine Titus. I've been in Joliet ever since 1968. I went over to 81 Jefferson Street at the Casona Liquor Store. I had purchased a lot of tickets. Then I went to the front. Then I had given my husband a $50 bill. And I just wondered why it was taking him so long. So I came back, and he was telling me that Mo, he works there at the store. His ticket wasn't for $10. He owed him $40. He said, "Well, you didn't give me my change." He said, "You can't count. You need to go back to where you came from, Mississippi." So I asked him, "Why are you talking this way to my husband?" I said, "You give him his money right now." And I mean that. Then I'm going to dial 911. So he taking his hand and had it on his side. And I seen a gun on the side. I didn't have anything to defend myself because he could have shot me and my husband. So I told him, I said, he said, you all don't come back in the store anymore. Go take your business somewhere else. And I think something needs to be done about this. But he was going to give that money up. He was going to give it up. I'm just plumb sick of it. I've been sick ever since.
I don't blame you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mary Brown Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, council members. I had an incident at the same Consumer Liquors. This was in 2013 of August. And I'm not a drinker, and I didn't go purchase alcohol. I went for lottery tickets also. But they have a scratch-off machine in there that dispenses. So I never went to the counter to this gentleman, the same gentleman. I went in, I got the tickets that I wanted out of the machine. And I turned to walk out, back out the door. And a young woman, a younger woman than me, a lot younger, spoke to me. She had made some kind of purchase, I don't know what it was, but she started talking to me on the way out the door. We were in motion, and we were talking about the lottery tickets. I said, about a month ago, I came in here and I got a winning ticket, and I came back today to see if I could get another one. So she said she had won a ticket also. And then about that time, this person, this Middle East man said, which I believe his name is Mo. I haven't had it confirmed yet. He said, he yelled out. In fact, we were on our way out the door, and I had to stop and turn around to see who was speaking. He said, you get out of here. So I paused to look back to see who was speaking with that kind of trash. He was looking at me and that young woman. There was only one or two other people in there. And that was a man. I don't know him. I said, I am not, and you don't know me, mister. So I started proceeding on out. But at the same time, he was coming from around the counter. I was in front of the other woman, which I am acquainted with her. And I know she does have some dirty business. But I don't think I should have been grouped in that. So we're proceeding on out. I got out the door first. And he was saying a lot of other obscenities. And I can't appreciate it. He came on out on the sidewalk, which she wouldn't speak back to him. And before she got out of the door, he had his hand in her back, pushing her along, which she wasn't pausing. I paused to say, I am not. I have a husband, and I have an income. So out on the sidewalk, he was saying such ugly things till I spoke back to him again. And that stuff about go back wherever you came from or Africa or something. I was born here in the United States. I think he was born somewhere else. Then I immediately walked directly to the Joliet police station. This man on that sidewalk spit in my face. The most degrading thing that I've ever had happen to me. And I was born in the 50s, and I never had anybody spit on me, even with the racial situation. So I didn't wipe it off. I walked on over to the police station and reported and told the woman, look at this. This is spit. And I don't know what could be in it because I don't know what disease this man might have. So I wasn't in an altercation with him. I didn't go to the counter and purchase any liquor or anything from him. I just went to the machine and got a ticket and started out. But I know for sure that the young woman had some dirty business. But on the sidewalk, I saw this little thing on his side, and I was kind of leery that it was a pistol. And he was so bold and yelling so loud and so nasty with us. Even if this woman has been or is a prostitute or whatever he's calling her, she wasn't doing that in there. And I speak to who speak to me as long as they're, pleasant. So I see that there's plenty more other incidents going on now. This happened to me August of 2013, and I only go in there maybe once in 3 months or so. If I'm downtown, it's hot, I might stop and get a water or a juice because I'm diabetic and it's hot and I be walking. I don't drive much now. I can't see that well anymore. But anyway, I wasn't sure if he had a holster, a small holster with a small caliber pistol, or was that a cell phone thing on his side. But something needs to be done about this before somebody gets seriously hurt or if somebody hurts him. Because I have some children that I didn't even breathe this to because they would have been pretty angry. And they are working people. But nobody wants to hear that their mother's been spit on. I wasn't arguing with him. I didn't have any business with him. I went to the machine and was on my way out, and she spoke to me. I'm not a prostitute, but I believe that the young woman has some of that business. But as long as anyone speaks to me properly, I'm going to speak to them. And I want you to be aware of this ongoing problem, which there's other existing situations that people haven't even come forth with. And I went immediately to the police station, so I'd never been contacted. I don't know, heard nothing else from it. Person that's got nerve enough to come outside after somebody and wielding pistols and calling people and Africans and things like that, which clearly he is from the Middle East himself and even has an accent. Something needs to be looked into very seriously before something else happens.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Chief, do we know, I don't want to know it publicly, do we know who this is?
We do. We believe, we interviewed him. We searched him. He didn't have a weapon. We searched him for a firearms owner identification card. He didn't have a FOID card. Of course, his story conflicts with the information we've received. So right now it's he said, she said. I also looked through our records to see if there was a pattern of complaints against him, to see if there was others that he has treated like this that came forward and complained to us. I couldn't find a pattern. I will look up the August 2013 incident as well and continue to look, but at this point there doesn't seem to be a pattern, and we couldn't corroborate the information was presented the last time. So we won't stop, though. We'll continue, and hopefully this discussion here will bring out more people that may have information that can help us with an investigation.
Thanks, Chief. Yeah.
Chief, did you say the individual in question, this Mo, he no longer works there? Wherever he went, he no longer works there?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. This could not have been easy for any of these folks to come up here and have to relive this, use the terminology that was used, the degrading terminology. There seems to be an admission of guilt when that person leaves. So there's only so much our police department or the legal system can do lacking evidence. But here and now I want to make a statement that that's not how good people in Joliet act. That's not how I act. That's not how the mayor acts. That's not how anybody up here acts. My neighbors. That's not how you act, Mary. And I trust that the Liquor Commission will keep an eye on this, because the mayor said it will be brought to the Liquor Commission, and we'll do what we can. Our hands are tied, but we won't stand for this in our community if it's true. We will not stand for it, folks. And I apologize to you as a fellow resident for what you went through.
I certainly want to offer my apologies. I am just totally upset, even to hear your story and for you to have to recall that story has to be painful. There is no business owner should be able to do that to anybody. And it is not that we won't tolerate it. We won't. We won't tolerate that type of service for a business owner. And I certainly would, Chief, like to see if there are any other incidents in this, or maybe it shows a pattern, or if there's someone out there that have had an encounter with Mo. Wherever Mo is, I hope he's gone, but we are not going to tolerate any business to disrespect any customer like that. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I apologize. I apologize.
I would like to say something. You know, to be here tonight and for my parents, you know, to go through what they went through, and for me to go through what I went through, and to hear the chief of police say that Mo is no longer working at that place of business, that is not true. I've been informed that he's still there. He might not was there when your officer went to the place of business. He didn't put away the gun for whatever reason. And so after you guys left, he's coming back into the store. Now, I'm here tonight, and I'm hearing that the chief of police said that he have no other complaints with this place of business. That is not true. You know, there's been several complaints that's been put in about how this place of business is treating Black African American. You know, so for me to sit here and to listen to that, you know, that's not true. Let's get the record straight. Something needs to be done. You know, I mean, I'm very terrified what happened to me. You know, I've been a deacon of my church for 26 years. I'm a gospel singer, you know, and for him to mess with my intelligence and my career and what I got going on, you know, it shouldn't happen. Joliet, the mayor, and whoever this may concern, we should not tolerate with this type of nonsense in the city of Joliet. Okay?
Thank you, and
So
we will not.
Me and my family, we just want a relief.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, with all due respect, I'm sure if there was any other complaints on record, the chief would have alluded to them, and he says...
I could not find them. I searched through the address, and I searched through the name. I'll continue to look. If you...
Well, but
if
it
you could
may
help
have happened, but if they didn't report it, he wouldn't have it. Well, get those names to the chief.
Yeah.
All right? Okay.
Chief, is it possible, did you look at the calls for service or just strictly reports?
I did. I looked for calls for service, and then under the CAD report, I looked at the title to see anything that may relate to an assault, a disorderly conduct, those type of incidents that would stand out. I didn't go through every call there to see if in the narrative of the report, like in this one, there may be a comment put in there about a racial epithet, but I will look even further. I'm not saying that Mr. Craig doesn't have information that would help. I did call you last week to try to see if you could help me investigate it further, and I will continue to. I have your number, and I'll work with you to try to corroborate. Perfect. All right. We'll be more than happy to investigate further if we have more evidence.
Thank you.
Also, we need to, you know, he made a statement that, gentleman, I'm not going to use that word with him. He's made a statement that he is still working there, and we need to find out.
Yeah, the information I had from the detective was that he's no longer working there. The owner of this one also owns another one in town. The owner assured him that he was not going to be working for him there. I'll follow up on that as well. And maybe that's bad information I received, but we'll follow up. Maybe he did lie to us. Maybe he provided false information. But if he's there, we'll find out.
Okay, for one thing, we have, say one more thing. The owner of the place of Wrench Liquor, his name is Jack. He have different business here in Joliet. So one of your officers might have went over to 83 West Jefferson Street and he wasn't there. Maybe he was at another location. He have one on West Jefferson right by the cemetery. He owned that one. He owned the one on South Chicago Street, and he have one in Lockport. Then he have about 2 or 3 in Chicago, in the suburb of Chicago. Okay.
When we have the hearing, we can suggest that he no longer employed this person.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor
You
Robert,
know, we inadvertently skipped mayor and council comments.
I was going to have that after the citizens to be heard, if
Okay,
that's okay.
okay, all right.
Robert Webb is also here to speak.
He's not on the agenda.
He did sign up. It
Okay.
was left off the agenda.
After listening to presentations by the various individuals that just spoke prior to me, kind of like put my mind on their issues and threw me off somewhat on mine. But again, for the public record, by a show of hands, I'd like to see who, other than myself, is standing on their public oath of office.
What's
For the public record.
What's your comment?
Okay. Upon reflective thinking, you'll remember that I mentioned to you all at the last city council meeting that I was here concerning taking some action in this advisory capacity to straighten out this issue with the violations of various citizens' rights, particularly as it relates. I don't know if any of you all took time to go on the internet and check out the 14th Amendment, the amendment that never was, and get an understanding in terms of who that was directed towards.
Is this a test?
No, it's not a test.
Okay.
If you read the 14th Amendment thoroughly, all right, there's 3 different parts in it. It says those are born, naturalized, or subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So you have to ask yourself the question, who is referred to as subject to the jurisdiction thereof? Well, any student of history would know that when it comes down to subject to the jurisdiction of, they're referring to those who were victims of the War of Enslavement. So when you look at the 14th Amendment, it was passed in 1868 by the Radical Republicans, who had sent military commanders down in the South to set up military districts and to depose the Southern men who were eligible to vote. They came up with this 14th Amendment.
What's your point, Robert?
So, with how the judiciary system is exercising personal jurisdiction over those who are considered subject to the jurisdiction thereof, it's unlawful because, number one, people never mutually agreed. You have to have some mutuality. There was never no mutual agreement in accepting this position of citizenship under the 14th Amendment. I would ask you all take time to look that up, study it like I have, and as well as like other people who have studied the Constitution. And if you all are standing on your oath of public office or oath to support the Constitution of the United States, you know that there's something fundamentally wrong with imposing upon a group of people laws that they should not be imposed upon them. And I would ask you to pass this information or share this information with the people of the county as well as the state to look into this. Because number one, those individuals who have been victims of the War of Enslavement, who have had their citizenship posed upon them by the 14th Amendment, are entitled to all that money that they've been paying out historically. Because being a non-citizen, you got to keep in mind, a non-citizen is a legal person created by the government. Right? So all that money that individuals have been out of, it should be reimbursed with all that money as soon as possible. And those who are being imprisoned today, as we speak, should be immediately released.
Wrap it up, Robert.
Check it out. The 14th Amendment, the amendment that never was, and at the same time, you cannot continue to exercise jurisdiction.
Officer
because number
Blatty,
one,
would you
we're
show
not
this
citizens.
gentleman to a seat?
That's in violation of the anti-discrimination ordinance of the city of Joliet.
Yes.
Yes, to clear the record, the 14th Amendment is the Equal Protection Clause, or equal protection under the laws. It was passed after the Civil War to protect the rights of freed slaves. And probably every major civil rights case in the last 100 years cites the 14th Amendment as a source of authority.
Thank you.
It's helped minorities in our country.
Next is mayor and council comments.
Councilwoman.
First, let me thank. I want to just say thanking city staff again. You do an amazing job with pulling information together for us that we need, and sir, I certainly want to thank you for doing that. Chief, I definitely want to stay abreast of whatever we find on this instance. I've got to do that. And so just let me know. Other than that, this young lady, Miss Blaine, can we talk after? I think you're really on to something, and I want to know more. You pulled a heartstring here, especially when you talk about the children. And we recognize that it takes all of us working together to make them successful. So please see me after. Thank you, Your Honor.
John?
I have no comments, Your Honor.
No comments.
Nothing,
I have several comments, Mayor. First of all, I attended a meeting for the Rialto, the regular board meeting last Thursday. There's a financial situation that came to light, which I think the council needs to be made aware of. Specifically, they've had several shows recently which have undersold or underperformed, and it put the Rialto in a financial bind, a short-term financial bind. So a decision was made and a vote was made by the board to move $200,000 from the endowment fund, which was termed, it was excess endowment fund money, which would be the value above the principal, the dividends, to $70,000 is put in the artist fee fund to pay immediate bills, and another $130,000 is going to be designated for operations to be determined by the Rialto staff. And just to kind of clear up what that means, the artist fee fund is money that has to be fronted to an artist which is going to come into the Rialto. So if they don't have the money, they can't book shows and generate money. The idea would be that you put the money, you put the artist fee money out and you get a return on it. And then for the operations, there were several bills that needed to be paid immediately, the electrical bills, things of that nature that would cause the Rialto to shut down. So I think they viewed it as an emergency situation, and it was a drastic measure that they had to take. But they were kind enough to inform me what was going on and wanted the council to be informed. Having said that, I would encourage any of our local residents to please support the Rialto. There's a number of shows coming up in the holiday season. If you could find your way over there. Again, they had kind of a bad run there for a month or two. It put them in a little bit of a bind. But it's the jewel of downtown Joliet, and I would call on our residents to do what they can to support it. Number two, Mayor, I wanted to compliment you over the comments you made in the paper regarding the proposal on Center Street for the halfway house, I guess for lack of a better term. I think you were right. I think, although I understand what the church is trying to do, I think to put something like that in people's neighborhoods, people are already residents there, you're jeopardizing their safety and their home values, and I think it was misguided. Number three, I was at a meeting last week, a neighborhood meeting, and I had requests, Mr. Hock, for street sweepers, and specifically in the Dawes Street area, if those streets could be swept. One thing that was pointed out, though, by our staff, when people place their leaves in the street, our street, and maybe you can help me out, someone from the street department, if they're here, our street sweepers can't operate, the leaves will clog up the sweepers, is that correct?
Well, they're so massive, and I, driving into work today, saw several piles that were 4 or 5 feet high, and at the mayor's prompting, we did issue a press release today asking residents not to put their leaves in the street, because it will, even if it doesn't clog up the sweeper, it'll fill it up right away. And they'll never get down a street because it's not made to collect leaves.
Jim, if I could add, essentially, you're correct. It is residents, we don't just ask them, we require them to pick up leaves. You're not allowed to put leaves in the street. You need to go out, clean your street, clean your parkways, clean your own property of the leaves. We don't. Years ago, we used to have designated areas we used to sweep for, or we used to pick up for leaves. We do not do that anymore. You know, I was out there myself Sunday, raking leaves off my street into the parkway and cleaning them up. Everybody, we are telling residents, you need to do this. You need to help us out. And like the city manager said, if people put leaves in the street, we'll never get through doing general sweeping of the streets. So it's very important. You can get, you can put them in 32-gallon trash cans. You can put them in the paper bags. But we're really telling people we need the cooperation from people. It's very comparable, like in the winter, getting cars off the streets where you can for snow plowing. It helps expedite, especially with our staff being at the level it's at.
Thank you. Finally, there was also, at the same meeting, a question came up about LED lighting on local businesses. It was brought to my attention a few businesses that do have this lighting. Is there any ordinance, or do we put a check on voltage or watts of outdoor lighting on any of the businesses?
I'm not sure that what the requirements are in terms of the brightness, but in our ordinance, I know that the excuse me, the issue has come up recently in terms. Council did ask staff to take a look at the number of banners that are in the Parkway area, advertising the businesses, and sometimes those signs are distracting to people driving down the street, as well as the lights, so we can check on that.
Thank you. That's all the question.
Councilwoman?
I'd like to comment on that financial report for the Rialto. When I was on the board many years ago, before I was council member, that artist fee fund was created for $250,000 because they couldn't book any good acts. And it was supposed to be a revolving fund. So since it's been out in the public now, let's just talk about it. This isn't the first time that this has been used this way, that I have found out after I was on the board. I did try to talk to Councilman Odekirk when he became the liaison, but he didn't want to talk to me about it. And when he was here in May, he said that the financial reports were in order. But I happened to notice that the artist fee fund was depleted. Now, I remember many, many years ago, when the general manager, it happened to be, I believe, Lynn Lichtenauer at the time, and the city was given the Rialto money, and they had to use money out of the endowment fund that they had to keep the lights on. The city didn't tolerate that, and neither did the board, and she subsequently was no longer the general manager. So I guess what I'm asking for is maybe we need to audit, have an audit there, another independent audit, or get Robert Rogers' report. I'd like to see the financials there, because we love the Rialto, but now that it's out in the public, maybe we need to see what we can do to subsequently help them, or see exactly what's going on, what cutbacks they've done, if they've had staff raises, so on and so forth.
Just as long as you both brought it up, I was at the board meeting prior to the Finance Committee meeting, and this was discussed, and they discussed their shortfall and how much was in that fund, how much was left of the $250,000. And they were requesting money, and I said, before anything, I want a financial report so we can look at what you've done. The city has cut and cut and cut. We're short police officers, firefighters, city employees, staff at the city hall. I says, before we start doling out money, I want to see your financial report and see how you've been handling your share.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, and then the recommendations that Councilman Odekirk just mentioned was discussed at the board meeting, what they're going to do. They're going to take money out of the endowment fund. They're not going to touch the principal. It's going to be interest that they made, put part of that in that fund and part, yes.
Well, the point I was trying to make was that $250,000 was given to the Rialto by the city to help them with not finances, and that money was only to be used for the artist fee fund. And I know in the past I had a question it when I was still liaison, and then when I was also later on, before I got elected to the city council, that they could not spend that money. But then after that, that kind of fell by the wayside after I was no longer there.
That's all they've used it for. That come out at the meeting. But the problem is, like the councilman pointed out, some of the shows that were booked, they didn't make money, so what they took out, they didn't reimburse, and over the years, it just kept getting shorter and shorter because they've had some bad shows that didn't sell. Okay, so they didn't reimburse that fund, so it has only been used for that. They haven't used it for operations or anything. It's just been used for it. That's what they told me at this meeting, and that's what I want to see at this other financial.
Okay, and I'd like to see the financials as well then,
Sure.
since it's out there. Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Wait a minute. Oh, on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
In my mailbox today, I received a letter from the Pam Owens. I don't know if anybody else received the letter.
We all got one, yeah.
Asking for additional funding. Are we going to be discussing this?
Well, at the meeting that I was at, I told the board members before I even talk about it, I want to see your financial report because the city has cut. I want to see the cuts that you've made before I start doling out money.
Well, I think it's the whole council that should have that discussion.
Well, I understand, and it'll go to the finance committee, absolutely. And then anybody can go, correct. Yes.
So everybody received this letter?
I don't know, I did.
I got one.
I did.
So, I mean,
I haven't seen it yet.
It's in your mailbox,
It's not, that's not in my mailbox. I
I
just haven't
guess
seen
the
it.
question is, with this, they're dipping in the fund, I mean, is there something that's more urgent that we need to address? I mean,
Well, I think going forward, I think they're going to formally request additional monies from the city to keep it going. The way it's been presented to me, and I agree with them, any downtown redevelopment is going to be centered around the Rialto. So with that in mind, I think the more shows they can have, the more, obviously, the more money they generate, but not only for themselves, for local businesses. I think that's the approach they're trying to take. As I pointed out, and this doesn't go back to May, there have been a string of shows recently that really were overvalued or underperformed. And it put them in a bind. They lost money on what they paid out for artist fee funds. They never recovered it. So that's the way it was presented to me. That's where this is a short-term problem. But I do understand that the economics of it. If you cut off that artist fee fund, you can't bring any acts in. It's a domino effect at that point.
is there a way, it seems like every year, well, maybe not every year, but it seems like every couple of years there's this debate of how much money we're going to fund the Rialto. We are down police officers, city staff, personnel. Is there a way that we can look, instead of saying, oh, in the budget for 2015, we're going to allocate more financing? We've got a hotel motel tax that comes in, and I know we allocate X amount. We just did something with the Heritage Quarter Visitors Bureau. Can we look at maybe taking some of that funding mechanism and have a direct revenue source to an attraction like that? I mean, we just sat here 2 months ago and we talked about how it was the assessment of and strategies for a vital downtown. And in that downtown master economic plan, it identifies the Rialto Square Theater as a critical economic engine for the revitalization of the entire downtown. So instead of always having this debate, I would like for us as a council or staff to look at a solid funding source. So every year we're not dipping into the general operating revenue fund of the city to fund deficits in attractions, whether or not it's the museum or the Rialto. I think we need to nip this in the bud instead of always coming back and having a debate. Because at the end of the day, who's suffering over this without a constant funding mechanism is the Rialto. I think for their budgeting purposes and for their operation, they need to at least know they have a steady stream of revenue. Instead of, again, we don't have to debate this tonight, but I think it needs to go back to look at a constant funding mechanism.
I'd just like to comment.
Wait a minute. Jim, help me out here. The gentleman, no, I just want a name, that give the downtown proposal.
The representative from Camaros?
Yes.
Right.
In his statement, he was asked about the Rialto. And he says, you want to help the Rialto, help them fill their vacancies so they will be less dependent on city money. That's the statement he made. I remember it like it was just, I can't remember his name, but he says, help them fill their empty
Real estate.
and make them less dependent. Nobody supports the Rialto more than I do. But I think we need to, and you made some good points, but I think we need to look at their financial statement. I really do. How many people they've hired, have they given raises, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, if I can comment on the historically, the city did give a percentage of the hotel motel tax to the Rialto, and then they converted back to a flat dollar amount. If you say they're going to be entitled to a percentage of a specific revenue, from year to year, it could wildly fluctuate. Mm-hmm. And so that's the downside of tying your hat to that one kind of revenue. The other thing is we've got 2 new hotels coming in, and we're rebating that hotel tax for them to build that convention conference center. So that's not new revenue that would go to that. And in essence, you're just putting it in one pocket. All that revenue goes into the general fund anyways, and the $600,000 you allocate for the Rialto comes out of the general fund. So I think it's more of an issue of how much is appropriate, and maybe the discussion should be what percentage of their annual budget should we be supporting.
Another thing I pointed out, Janet, I'll get to it. In my proposed budget, when I cut the Rialto and I cut the Historical Museum and I cut By Park, don't think for a minute that if we increase the Rialto's donations that they're not going to be in here too. So it's not only $150,000 or $200,000, it could be more. Jan?
I just want to say, no one loves the Rialto more than I do, and I do support the Rialto. I've also donated lots of money to the Rialto. But I think it really needs to be looked at because the city has cut back. We've tightened our belt. We didn't give raises. I know that raises were given. I know they hired more people. You know, what are they doing to help themselves? That's what we need to look at before we even entertain any more money. Because when going was good, we did give them a lot of money and it increased. Then it was retreated, or not retreated, but taken back, and then we decided $600,000, that was it. It's a budget. You live within your budget. And even though you have bad shows, you allow for that. So I don't know, not being on the board anymore, I'm just going by what Councilman Odekirk has said. And I know about that artist fee fund because it was created, like I said, when I was on that board and what it was for only. So having said that, I'm not bashing the Rialto, but I think we really need to get a handle on what's going on over there and take care of business.
You know, just one comment on the hotel motel tax. Over the years, we've talked many times about the hotel motel tax in reference to the Rialto. And, you know, while I totally agree, I think everything should be on the table when we're talking about funding for the Rialto, whether it be portion of a hotel motel tax or whatever, everything needs to be looked at. But I think in the past, a portion of the hotel motel tax comes up pretty far short of what they actually need as far as help. That's my only comment on that. Another comment is I'd just like to wish all the veterans a happy Veterans Day next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. There'll be a celebration or a memorial down at the Will County Courthouse, as there usually is, and open houses at all the posts around town.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Those that haven't already voted, remember to vote tomorrow or forever hold your peace. Also along Veterans Friday is a veteran celebration at Joliet Central at 2 p.m. And next Tuesday it's 10 a.m. at the courthouse for the veterans. That's all I have.
I have a request for closed session, Mayor.
So moved.
Second?
Been motion and seconded to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which meeting will be adjourned. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug? Is he absent? Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Odekirk?
Aye.
Mayor Girani?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Jim, Trisna, is there a fine for people caught raking leaves out on the street?
You know, I'm not sure there's actually a fine or not, but like I said, I know it's not legal to do. You're supposed to
Would
bag them and pull them in your parkway and bag them.
Could you find out and let me know, please?
I will.